reach capacity. We'll have to cut off the online registration, but it's open right now.
Oh my God.
So don't delay.
Thank you guys for being the best at what you do.
Log on to KBLATalk1580.com right now and register to join us for an afternoon of good music, good people, and good vibes.
Happy anniversary.
Wednesday, June 19th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will provide the food and drink, but be sure to bring your low-back chairs, blankets, and your personal picnic baskets.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Let's celebrate 3 years of being the most trusted, credible, and reliable source of news and information.
We love you, KBLA.
We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're black and stride again.
Black and stride again.
Happy anniversary.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not too unserious. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First. And my first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it started. What does that mean? Well, hour one, we look at what's happening on the left coast, what's on the local scene. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person of interest or a hot topic. Today, we will be talking with newly elected council president, CD8's Marquise Harris Dawson. That will happen in hour three. Looking forward to the conversation. It is a Talking Point Tuesday. So Melanie Collette, one of your favorite Republicans, will be tapping in to, chop it up with me in a rather spirited way. We always enjoy that. And joining me right now, live and in person, you know him from the Conversation Live. He's a writer for the Los Angeles Progressive, among others. Also a contributor here at KBLA. James Farr, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. How you doing this morning?
I'm blessed and highly favored. I am definitely, as we discussed off the air, mourning the death of Reverend James Lawson.
Yeah.
He certainly gave more than most of us will give in 100 lifetimes in one lifetime, but it is still a huge loss.
A tremendous loss. 95 years young, right? And when you think about all that he accomplished in those 95 years and, his service to the people, right? It is admirable. It's inspiring. I'm not built that way.
Well, the thing about Reverend Lawson to me, there's a lot of things about him aside from, he just radiated wisdom and intelligence, brilliance, is when you think about not just what he personally accomplished, but all of the people he influenced with his philosophy and his training, not just vaguely influenced, but actually trained. Community leaders, from here to New York, including Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, but not just him, so many others in many different areas of the movement.
Those basement meetings in Nashville, Tennessee, in those churches, when black folks couldn't organize, publicly, when there was a time when the church was that meeting place. It serviced all of those things, but, all you mentioned it, all of those that he influenced through his his studying of Gandhi and bringing that, nonviolent approach to, you know, resistance, right, and protest. Like, I'm not built that way. I don't have but four cheeks, and then a fist.
Yeah,
can
but
fly.
you know what? I think also people misunderstand Reverend James Lawson, in the philosophy of nonviolence. I mean, yeah, I get that you only got so many cheeks, but he was teaching disciplined protest and demonstration, not just let anyone do any old thing to you. I mean, that wasn't the philosophy. I think when people hear nonviolence, maybe they think that. But he was teaching disciplined protest in a way that was really effective. It's not just, oh, I'm going to just let you do anything to me, and I'm just going to sit here and take it because I'm just like Jesus. No, it was like this is the science of making change.
Right. I mean, discipline is courage, right? You have to be courageous to stand in the face of what generations ago had to endure. It shows up differently now, but to stand in the face of white supremacy, right, where people want to hang, lynch, which was a very real thing back, in the '60s. It requires discipline, right, and understanding on the other side of this, maybe a billy club, maybe a biting of the dog, maybe a water hose, maybe ran out of town, right? But these are all the things that, I think they inform all of us now, right? Our activism or our protest may show up differently, but we all, are fortunate to have learned from his teachings. I only met him a handful of times, and I wish I could have sat at his feet much longer to understand, the great man that, I'm going to still speak of him as he is, because he is with us, through us, and it's up to all of us to continue that.
Yeah, well, certainly the teachings are here, and that's a good thing. Yeah, I was not a student of his in that sense, but certainly an observer and a and someone who was influenced by him. Just the interviews, the times that I had the opportunity to interview him, which is only twice, and then the conversations we'd have off the mic, profoundly influential. One of the things he told me was to stop saying left and right, which I'm still working on because I feel like I have to put people in some kind of spectrum politically to try to identify where they're coming from. But his position was, and this was off the mic, either someone's for justice or they're not. And that when we get into labels like left and right and conservative and progressive, which are sort of vague, right, that we separate people, or we, in a way that's not helpful. In a way, if you're in any given situation, you're either standing for justice or you're not. And I, as a talk radio person, that's difficult. As a person who's a spiritual human being, a human being having a spiritual being having a human experience, that's more a little, philosophically I can understand it,
Sure.
but in practice it's a little bit more challenging to implement.
It's extremely challenging, right? But I mean, we want to identify people so we know who we're dealing with. But what I like what you just said, as a human being, we have to see people as just that, right? And justice is just that, right? But too often, left, right, center, it's a selective justice. Like, how do you? I don't want to get into the national stuff, but how do you sit on the side of some of this justice that some people believe in, that is clearly oppressing, stripping people of rights, and the like, and then saying that in the name of justice?
I mean, honestly, I think the national stuff does touch the local stuff a lot of times. They dovetail and one impacts the other. But I guess if you're an organizer, and, both of us are journalists who are also activists, then it can come down to a single question. You take the the question of presidential immunity. Is a president above the law? That, to me, that taking that position that a president is above the law is not on the side of justice. If you look at an issue like the child's tax credit, which I always talk about because the idea of us taking 4 million U.S.-based children out of poverty, out of hunger and starvation for a couple of years and then saying, nope, can't afford that anymore, throwing you back into poverty, that's just something that keeps me up at night. To me, it's clear. One side is justice and the other isn't.
Well, let's back up. It's not is a president above the law. It's are white men above the law.
Well, that's not what the Supreme Court is technically ruling on, but
okay.
Yeah.
But I think that's the overarching what you're saying is that are white men above the law, right? Is that justice?
Wealthy white men at that.
Certainly.
I mean, I guess you could be impoverished and be president, but it's highly unlikely in this century. Yeah, I guess that's what it comes down to. But my point was you could take an issue, any clear-cut issue, and say, are you on the side of justice or not? Rather than defining it in terms of, are you a Democrat or a Republican? Are you conservative or progressive or somewhere in between? Are you a centrist? And that's what Reverend James M. Lawson was calling on me to do, to be more specific and challenge myself not just for easy categories, but for where people stand on issues of importance to us.
Well, we're going to check in with you over time to see how
Yeah, it's a tall order. Let's go to Fred calling us from the Crenshaw District. Good morning.
Good morning, Sister Dominique. And we lost a great trailblazer in Reverend James Lawson. I was looking at Channel 7. The funeral arrangements are pending, and I know he was a great inspirer to Mayor Karen Bass. So, my heart really goes out to him and his family. I want to take this opportunity to do a shout-out to all the fathers. For Father's Day this Sunday, we fathers will be on center stage. I plan to usher the Holy Spirit, the cathedral, and then I'm gonna treat myself to a Father's Day breakfast at IHOP over here at Crenshaw and Stalker. I was going to say on the political scene, I understand that the Sunday scene for Donald Trump will be July 11th, the week right after Labor Day. I mean, after, not for today. I mean, 4th of July, but this is my personal feeling. He needs to be getting 20 years in jail, but the judge may decide probation. How in the world can you do 34 felonies and basically like get away with it? He think he is above the law. They should have a law that anybody being a convicted felon should not be able to run for president of the United States. That's crazy, but I'm sure the debates are going to be real good. June 27th and September 10th, and in about 5 weeks, Trump's supposed to pick his running mate. But as intelligent as Kamala Harris is, I think she's going to mop the floor with whoever will be Trump's VP.
All right, Fred, thanks for sharing your analysis there. You got any comments on that, James Farr?
First of all, Fred, thank you so much for the Father's Day wish. You are the first person to do that, and salute to you for taking Father's Day into your own hands and planning your day and honoring yourself. Fred, Trump isn't going to prison. I don't think he should go to prison.
Really?
And here's why.
I do.
Well, I mean, there's
I
a
wish
lot.
you could just stay there forever.
There's a lot of reasons why, right? But and I don't play the if it was us game, right? I mean, they're nonviolent felonies. There are an absorbent amount of them, right? But first time offender.
Right, because we don't count the civil liability for rape or the civil liability for a fraud.
So remember, we're standing on that justice, right? Mm-hmm. We want the justice to be there.
Okay,
right?
but here's the thing. First of all, if you had 34 felonies, even if they're nonviolent, you, James Farr, black man, and you talked smack about the judge and talked smack about witnesses and defied a gag order, I guarantee you, you're doing some time.
No doubt. But I'm a black man that knows that I couldn't talk smack about the judge, right?
Well,
That
nobody,
would
I mean,
violate the gag
theoretically, even regular white people can't do that.
I understand the point, right? But the fact is, I don't believe he should be in prison based upon the conviction.
Okay. Well, we can agree to disagree. Each felony carries potentially 4 years. So, Fred, he would never get 20 years because even if they gave him time, it would be concurrent.
Right.
Right. I mean, they're not going to. He would serve all of those 4-year sentences at the same time. So the maximum he really would get would be 4 years. That is not going to happen.
No.
I don't think he'll do any time, but I would, I'd be happy with a good 90 days. I mean, especially when you think about not only contempt of court, violation of the gag order, threatening judges, and inspiring others to threaten judges, but then all the stuff, and you could say, well, he hasn't been convicted for all the stuff he's gotten away with, right? The Trump University, the emoluments clause, the over a dozen women that he's been a sex pest or sexual predator to, all of those things I know he's not been convicted of other than the 2 cases with E. Jean Carroll, which are civil cases, so thus they do not carry any time.
But we're talking about justice, right? So
Yeah.
we're not, he wasn't on trial for the other thing.
I know that, but to me, if you threaten judges and encourage your followers to do so, even without a conviction, you can do time.
Lock him up then.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm standing on justice, right?
Like, but that is justice.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get to threaten judges. That undermines our entire system.
You don't even get to look sideways at a judge. We saw that a couple of weeks ago.
Well, and there you have it. But I understand your point. You're trying to make a principled stand that even though this guy is a predator and a menace and an existential threat to our country, that based on those 34 felonies, you don't think he should do time.
You summed it up.
It's the perfect time to call us. Fred called 800-920-1580. You can do the same. We are unapologetically for justice at KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Hi, Tavis Smiley here. We're getting closer to June 18th, and time is running out for you to register to join us for our historic symposium live on C-SPAN, Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Admission is free, but you must register at KBLA1580.com right now if you want to be in the audience when the nation will see for the first time ever a stage full of brilliant black folk talking about the urgency of now. Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. It's all going down. Well, it's actually all going up. Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. live from the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Again, admission is free, but we're filling up fast. So if I were you, I would log on right now to KBLA1580.com to reserve your seat. Caring about the climate, caring about the community. We're KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
James Farr is in the studio. James, you had a big week last week as far as Pasadena news, which is something you focus on because you live there. And I assume that it's also an area of intense interest by now. So a couple of, at least we have an update on the Tyson Crutchfield case, right?
We have an update on several. I think we first reported here on your show, shout out to attorney Kerry Harper, who kind of put together this video piece of officers drinking and kind of put some information out there.
On the job.
On the job. Drinking on the job while on duty.
Drinking in uniform, right?
In uniform, driving cars with weapons, all of that. That was last year sometime. But, your listeners will remember Officer Tyson Crutchfield intervened with an officer who was very heavy-handed and physically assaulting, a family who, in the midst of their grieving the loss of their father to the hands of Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Well, that was in August when we first talking about this. We talked about a Lieutenant Sammy Da Silva who was violently kicked after exposing alleged fraud and corruption within the department. Another officer kicked him so bad it hospitalized him. You had his attorney here with us. You've had Brad Gage here with us, who represents Tyson Crutchfield. And then we have three more officers to come forward. Well, two. Milton White, who's a Sergeant, Jarvis Shelby, who was also assaulted by a commander, put into a chokehold. Our police chief said it unequivocally did not happen last December. White and Shelby have come forward. And then just last Thursday, two more officers have come forward. A former lieutenant who just recently retired, who said in her press conference, Lieutenant Carolyn Gordon, that she's standing on business, and more importantly, that if there is violence, racism and violence inside of that building, it definitely will be racism and violence that will bleed out into the community in the streets. That's a bombshell. We don't normally hear officers talk about what they're experiencing in the department. Some of the officers are talking offline, and they're afraid for their safety working in the department. It really has become, for some, a toxic, hostile environment. Crutchfield, to your point, is no longer with the department. She was constructively terminated.
What does that mean?
It's a legal definition, sort of. The circumstances of her situation, the retaliation, the harassment, the fear for her safety, the officers not providing her cover on radio calls, effectively means that she can't do her job there. So What we lost in our community is an African-American female officer raised in the community, highly educated, a declarated athlete, a beauty pageant. You know, she's all of those things. She's a daughter. You know, she's a family member, a sister. We've lost someone from the community, policing our community with the gentleness and heavy-handed that is required to be a peace officer.
Well, I mean, we only got a minute here until news, traffic, and sports. We'll continue on the other side, but one of the things that really came out of our original conversation about this, and finally, you know, we've been talking about this for well over a year. Mm-hmm. Finally, the LA Times felt it serious enough to actually put on their front cover. The fact that they also have, allegedly, a couple of officer-involved gangs. Two that we know of. One is the Good Old Boys.
The Good Old Boys and the Veteranos. And I'll explain on the other side what that means. One is reserved for one achievement, and the other is reserved for non-blacks.
Right. I mean, veteranos kind of gives you a hint. You know, it means veterans in Spanish. But that is something, I mean, even though it is in the LA Times story, I'm surprised it's not a much bigger issue. We already knew we had LA sheriff's gangs, and now we're talking about gangs in another Southern California Police Department, gangs comprised of officers.
Well, we've been saying it. Now they're saying it.
Right.
That's the difference.
Well, but why isn't that a huge story in mainstream media? That's the part I don't understand. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and we'll get more in depth on this story. We're taking your phone calls on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is in Washington today testifying about his policies during the coronavirus pandemic. This will be during a closed-door Republican-led House subcommittee hearing. Cuomo is expected to be asked about the deaths of nursing home residents. A 2022 New York State Comptroller report shows Cuomo's administration was not transparent in reporting COVID nursing home deaths and underreported the number. Virginia Beach native Pharrell Williams is the focus of a unique biographical film that will be released in theaters. Piece by Piece uses Legos to tell the African-American music producer's story, from his childhood fascination with music to his collaboration with performers like Kendrick Lamar and Snoop Dogg. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Join the Dodgers to celebrate black culture and pay tribute to the rich history of black ball players who don Dodger blue. Purchase a Black Heritage Night ticket package for Saturday, June 15th against the Royals and receive an exclusive Heritage Night jersey. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/ticketpack.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Dan Hurley will not be the Lakers' next head coach. Monday morning, Hurley called Lakers owner Jeannie Buss and GM Rob Pelinka to inform them he does not want the job. Hurley is staying at the University of Connecticut, leaving the Lakers franchise with some very serious concerns and some major perception issues. Buss and Pelinka offered Hurley a 6-year deal worth $70 million. The contract would have made Hurley the highest paid coach in the NBA, but Hurley preferred to stay at UConn and contend for a third straight national championship. Hurley also must have seen some challenges within the Lakers organization that he did not want to deal with. Lakers Nation may need to face the reality that the mystique of this once proud franchise has faded. How do you process somebody turning down $70 million for a chance to coach the Los Angeles Lakers? Let that marinate. No debate, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
What does it take to take on Alzheimer's? Awareness that nearly 2/3 of those diagnosed are women, including Black women. Dedication to lowering your risk by eating healthy and monitoring blood pressure. And confidence to talk to your healthcare provider about screening and early detection. You have what it takes to take on Alzheimer's. Learn about signs and screening at takeonalz.com. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
This is DIR Silica, spot title, Many Homeowners, 30-second English radio, ISKI code DSM H0430, April 30th, 2024.
Many homeowners and businesses use man-made stone as an alternative to traditional stone for their countertops. Handling these products puts workers' lives at risk. Without proper conditions, workers could die from the terminal lung disease silicosis. Employers must supply respiratory protection and water systems. It's essential to wet stone when cutting it to prevent breathing in dust. Do away with dusty, deadly practices. Visit WorkSafeWithSilica.org. This is a message from Cal OSHA.
KBLA delegation, listen up if you're not feeling yourself lately. And by that, I mean you cannot button your pants. No, they didn't shrink. It's those 20 pounds you've been chasing for the past 20 years. Maybe they're creeping to 21 pounds. It might be time for D-Herbs. D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse is a natural cleansing regimen that can help you lose those 20 pounds. And even more, the Full Body Cleanse will also boost your immune system and improve your digestion. Summer is basically here, so stop chasing that 20-pound weight loss and get yourself propelled into a total healthier lifestyle. To reboot your system and lose weight, go to dherbs.com and order that full body cleanse, or you can call them 866-434-3727. Mention KBLA 1580 and get 10% off your order. dherbs.com. Experience healing.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, James Farr is reminding me he's a journalist, also a filmmaker, and I did put something on my IG story. By the way, make sure you follow, like, subscribe to us everywhere. We're KBLA 1580. This one's at James Farr Live, and I'm DiPrima Radio. I did post something about the SF Film Festival, which is going on this week. Or is it next week?
No, it's this weekend. It starts on the 13th. It's opening night. It runs through the 16th. San Francisco Black Film Festival, which is, I believe, the second longest running film festival, Black-owned film festival in the nation.
After the Pan-African. And you have a film in this year.
Yeah, this year I'm a featured. I've won previous years Best Social Justice feature films for 2 times, and then a Jeff Adachi Social Justice Award for one of those films. I'm returning this year to premiere a film about Kennedy and El Cerrito, or 2 local high school crosstown rivalries that end up meeting in the Oakland Coliseum. Think NFL films, think ESPN 30 for 30, just a little under-resourced, but it's a great story about folks who all grew up in the same community, and then, we're on a head-on collision to play in the Oakland Coliseum. So it's nostalgia, it's history, but it's also it's an artifact at this point.
sfbff.org, sfbff.org if you want to find out more about the San Francisco Black Film Festival. Thanks for reminding me. Congratulations. I think you're a 3-time winner or something like that.
Three-time winner.
3-time winner and a featured filmmaker.
Shout out to
well.
Cree Ray, 3rd generation to run this festival.
All right.
And she's a young lady doing an exceptional job.
And J.R. Valray, who is also one of the organizers of promoters of that festival.
Yeah.
So, James, let's get back to these gangs. Pasadena Police Department alleged gangs. The good old boys and the veteranos, and you say they serve two different functions, if you want to call them that, functions. They do two different kinds of crime, perhaps would be a better way of putting it.
Yeah, think of one as the overreach, and the good old boys is kind of like the larger group of officers that are in this group that, you know, receive privileges, assignments. You know, they take care of their own, kind of that societal culture. I believe Attorney Romero referred to it as a secret society. Well, the veteranos, you have to put in some work. You know, you've been involved in an OSI, an officer-involved shooting, or you've had a body. You've actually killed someone. So it's a little bit more exclusive in that respect, but it's very similar to what we're reading about in other agencies. Now, you brought up the LA Times. First thing I would invite listeners to do is to go over to the LA Progressive. The LA Times did a good piece. They missed a whole lot, right? But if you really want to understand the backstory of how we end up here, you got to go read the things I've been writing.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something you've been following. That's why I was calling out the LA Times, because you've been writing about this for a couple of years at least, right?
Yeah, well, the LA Times reporter wasn't even present at the press conference, so I kind of understand what was missing. Had he been present, what he would have seen, what we all saw, which was off camera, was a union representative. I've never seen this before. A police officer protest and disrupt a press conference. It was just like, what?
But I mean, he just he tried to shut the press conference down. Or distract from?
He yelled out and called the attorney an opportunist. He said that the allegations in the lawsuit were unsubstantiated. Specifically, what he was speaking about is an incident he was involved with. He's not even named in the lawsuit, right? But he made sure that what was at issue? Allegedly, this particular union officer paid a suspect to fight a trainee. That's what allegedly happened, you know, many years ago. So he made sure that he wanted to clear that up. You know, the union, or associations that we call them now, it appears that they're targeting commissioners, oversight commissioners. You know, they're calling them out in public meetings. They're issuing cease and desist letters for language that they're using. We've already, the last time I was here, maybe the time before that, we were talking about our police chief using offensive language in meetings. So, you know, the morale in the building, as I understand it, is extremely low. The environment is very toxic. It's, from what I'm hearing, not the best place for officers to be. I mean, there's language that the gang unit is operating kind of with a mantra of SEAL Team 6, like, you know, they're occupying community and you know, how people are being treated, it hasn't changed. You know, there was an allegation that the chief possibly had an improper relationship or some sort of meeting with a younger female officer who was alleged to have served alcohol at a party and received less discipline or punishment for that than what Officer Tyson Crutchfield experienced. So we're seeing a whole lot in this department, and it's for such a small department.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. You know, I'm looking at the pictures here that all of the, everybody who stepped forward, 4 of them are black. One guy looks Latino, and this guy, Omar El-Hosseini, I don't know.
Yeah, Lieutenant De Silva is Sri Lankan.
Oh, Sri Lankan.
Yes.
Okay.
Omar El-Hosseini he identifies as Muslim. I'm not sure, you know.
Right. So he claims that they were calling him Taliban and
Taliban. I mean,
and the harassment, the racist harassment.
They're asking Siri if Black Lives Matter. You know, they're referring to black officers as parolee, and, you know, tropes like "get your people." I mean, it's again, as Lieutenant Gordon said, if there's racism in the building and violence, and in this case, corruption, right, is what De Silva is alleging, all three, then it has to be the same thing on the street. And
well, it's interesting that, a couple of these folks didn't feel safe to speak out till they retired.
I'll say it like this. I had an black officer tell me once, the only person more afraid of the police than a black man is a black man or black male police officer, because we know our capabilities.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, this is, according to this lawsuit, it seems like they're not just saying these gangs exist in the department. They're saying they control the department.
That's how it works in most departments. I mean, not quite at the top, perhaps Villanueva, that's a whole nother situation. He was a member, right? But what happens is, yes, they do promote up. And so once they're in these positions, the culture permeates. And a lot of people think that there's these secret meetings that happen, right, between these officers, and they plot and plan in real time, right, what they're going to do. No, it's all spontaneous. And if you do your part and I do my part, everything will take care of itself. We saw that in the Anthony McClain investigation, which the OIR report documented, right? They did at best a minimal effort to investigate their own officers in shooting. So there are many ways that these things get baked into investigations and into situations that when it comes out on the other side, it's business as usual.
Meanwhile, in Riverside, you have the sheriff saying he may run for governor. This guy, Chad Bianco, who is a out of the closet MAGA person, out of the closet. Maybe that's not the right way of saying it. He's a blatant white supremacist.
Yes.
Is what I would say.
I was in Riverside County over the weekend, and it took some getting used to, right? I mean, full-on merch stands on the side of the road, right? Flagging the MAGA, the Trump, all of that stuff. And, again, we talk about it. Once you get outside of L.A. County, once you get outside of the 5 counties in the Bay Area, California looks just like the rest of the country.
Well, I think even further to the right than parts of the country. I mean, further against justice, Reverend Lawson. I feel like I always say this, we live in a bipolar state. Mm-hmm. The cities, which is where black people and Latinos and others live, are very progressive, democratic, blue. But when you get to the center of the state, when you get to farm country, it changes. And I saw an incredible article on the sheriffs of California, mm-hmm. and how most of them are MAGA. Mm-hmm. It's the cowboy hats. It's not the cowboy hat just as a fashion statement. It's the cowboy hat as a political badge, which might as well be a red hat with "Make America Great Again" on it.
David Clark comes to mind, but I know we're talking about California. Yeah, I mean,
it's part of the same mold.
It's the same thing, and I guess some call our leadership in the city, they kind of look at it that way. But they're paramilitary environments. We've seen evidence with Crutchfield where the chief said flat out that her probation was not extended. We're looking at the paperwork. It clearly says probation was extended. So we're talking about culture here, right? And you have these law enforcement officials who are very MAGA, very pro Trump, and they are, when people start talking about police need new training and more training, they love that. That means more toys. That means more money, right? Our department wants to ratchet up another 30 or 40 officers, right? Well, okay, that's fine. But where are they coming from? Because we've seen laterals come over and beat the crap out of somebody, right? We see that they come into the department, and what does that onboarding look like? Pasadena is a different place. It requires a different hand, and we just don't see that level of service.
Well, I hope folks in Riverside are paying attention. There's a lot of black people out there. I saw y'all the other day. We went to see that Rick James play. A lot of black folks out there. Please do not vote this guy into office. He's the one who said, this Chad Bianco guy, there's actually a recall starting for him. I don't know if it'll go anywhere, but he's the one that actually said it's time we put a felon in the White House, talking about Trump, and went viral while wearing his uniform, which is a violation. You're not allowed to campaign while in uniform.
There's a lot of things that police aren't allowed to do that they just do because in many respects they approach the job as they are above the law.
800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Oh, man. Looks like Bobby needs a ride to the airport again.
Grab the keys.
Who's taking Auntie and her friends to the swap meet?
Grab the keys.
How about we drop these boxes off at Miss Johnson?
Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, you're all about getting things done. So do it all in a Chevy SUV. From the versatile Equinox and Sporty Blazer to the roomy Traverse, our lineup of SUVs will carry you through every adventure. All you have to do is...
grab the keys.
That's how we do. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse Limited models. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Get ready to play. Join the LA84 Foundation Saturday, June 29th for a free Playday block party at 2141 West Adams Boulevard with sports, games, and fun for all ages. With live music, amazing local food, and the spirit of LA's 1984 Summer Olympics celebrating 40 years of impact of the LA84 Foundation. June 29th at LA84's campus in West Adams from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Register at la84.org. See you at Playday.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Become a U.S. citizen with the help of the Los Angeles Public Library. Get free and confidential information on immigration and citizenship. Visit lapl.org/NAI to find your nearest library or call us at 213-228-7390. That's lapl.org/NAI or 213-228-7390 and start your path to becoming a U.S. citizen with the help of the Los Angeles Public Library. Call 213-228-7390 or visit lapl.org/NAI.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, you on your activist side, I want to take a couple of these calls right quick, but on your activist side, you have an event coming up.
Absolutely. June 21st, I have the honor and privilege with sitting down with the one and only Dr. Cornel West and Dr. Melina Abdullah for an intimate conversation. I really want to talk about and understand what this third-party candidacy means, how it may impact the November election. As you know, they are seeking access to the California ballot. And so we're going to gather on the 21st at 7 p.m. at All Saints Church in Pasadena. For those who can't attend, we will live stream it on the Conversation Live, but we're going to sit down and really have what I'd like to believe is a piercing, provocative, possibly uncomfortable conversation, but we want to get to the root of why they deserve to be on the ballot in California. I've made my decisions, but I want them to have that opportunity to inform the public, and the public can make their own decisions.
Interesting. Of course, you're talking about Dr. Melina Abdullah, our colleague here at KBLA. She is on leave from her show, although she may appear as a guest, probably should. Saturday mornings, this is not a drill. And Dr. Cornel West, the public intellectual and author who's running for president and chose Dr. Abdullah as his running mate on their own Justice for All party ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And all the implications of that. A lot of folks talking about that. Let's go to JW calling us from LA. Hi, JW.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
What I like to say is make a few quick points, which is, first of all, the blueprint already has been laid down through Dr. King, and he got it from Mahatma Gandhi that freed his people from being oppressed by the British government. The nonviolence principle or doctrine is something that was ingenious and quite effective. The main reason why is because Dr. King knew that the media was going to be present during the violence that took place at the Montgomery Bridge. And that exposure made America have to pay attention because they were demonstrating double standards, the lack of equality, and all the above that went against their Constitution and what American experiment supposedly supposed to represent, this dream that is a black man's nightmare and its contradiction. And with all the other autocracy governments such as Russia, Germany, and so on, watching on a world stage, America had to do something in order to not be over the top because of their optics.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great point. It's kind of the same thing that happened with George Floyd. Right. America had to watch it over and over. Well, didn't have to, but we did.
Right. I mean, what we saw on that bridge, obviously we saw the police, right? But we also saw the folks, the firefighters, right? Who they were the ones holding those hoses. And you talking about Reverend Lawson and that discipline, again, that courage, right? And Dr. King, you're talking about being radical, right? And putting their bodies on the line, right? Putting those women and children front line for what we would now call activism, right? But it was so polarizing and it was intentional. It still is disturbing just to think about, right? Those images of those dogs being sicked on people. So, yes, they did lay down. Even though
people are still having dogs sicked on them today. Well, that's the irony of it.
There's that.
I don't know why we even allow dogs in police departments to do anything other than search and rescue. But in any case, I think that's a great point, JW, and it's important to remember as we started out today that James M. Lawson was the strategist and the scholar behind the implementation of the nonviolent action, strategies.
I see his work right here in Lamert Park, right across the way. I see it coming through in many, specifically Dr. Abdullah and the folks with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, Grassroots, and their chapters across the nation. I see that work, that and other work, but we see his influence.
And so many electeds. I mean, Holly Mitchell, for one. These are folks that, went to Holman United when he was the pastor there and went to his various teachings and seminars and classes, and some studied with him personally to grasp and understand these organizing concepts. Okay, well, you know what? Time flies when you're on the radio. I'm going to hand you this minute and see what you want to do with it, James Farr.
Well, what I'm first going to do is wish all the brothers out there a happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you as well.
Thank you, Dominique.
And happy Father's Day to Simeon.
Back,
of the
Happy Father's Day to all you brothers, right? And all you brothers and others who may not have been present, right, in your child's life. Today's the day to start. Tomorrow you can do it as well. Don't worry about yesterday. Shout out to my Father in heaven. I'm sure he is tickled knowing that his son will be sitting down with Dr. Cornel West. But stay active.
On the 21st of June.
On the 21st of June. You know what I'm saying? And I tell people all the time, if you can't fix the world, don't F it up, right? That's it. Follow at James Farr Live, LA Progressive as well.
Is that your motto, James?
It's an aspirational thing. It's more of a reminder, right? If I can't fix it, right, don't mess it up.
Yeah.
So you can count on me not helping you lose. That's how I really live, right? Don't help me lose either. I just want to see you win.
At James Farr Live on all socials, DiPrima Radio here on all socials, and of course KBLA 1580. James Farr, thanks for your great work.
Safe trip to Africa, to Kenya.
Yes, can't wait. All right. News, traffic, and sports and more on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is in Washington today testifying about his policies during the coronavirus pandemic. This will be during a closed-door Republican-led House subcommittee hearing. Cuomo is expected to be asked about the deaths of nursing home residents. A 2022 New York State Comptroller report shows Cuomo's administration was not transparent in reporting COVID nursing home deaths and underreported the number. Virginia Beach native Pharrell Williams is the focus of a unique biographical film that will be released in theaters. Piece by Piece uses Legos to tell the African-American music producer's story, from his childhood fascination with music to his collaboration with performers like Kendrick Lamar and Snoop Dogg. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to now.
Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers were trying. New Orleans Pelicans assistant James Borrego, ABC TV analyst J.J. Redick, and Boston Celtics